hello world. Once again, it's Teacher Melody, and today is our second episode for GOTALKTO English Podcast. And I would like to welcome all the students all over the world, to all our Japanese students and friends, yokoso, to our ticos in Costa Rica, bienvenidos, and to our Korean friends, ozohoseyo. And I would like to also welcome a good friend of mine, Teacher Emily.
Hello, everybody. It's so good to be here.
Welcome, Teacher Emily. And I'm pretty sure that you see her a lot in our online platforms. But to those who are new here, can you tell us about yourself?
I'm Teacher Emily. I live in the United States, in the state of Maryland, and I am one of the English teachers. I'm a native English speaker, and it's my only language, so my classes challenge students to speak English.
What is the typical class setup? How do you teach your students?
So the rule is no boring. Teacher Emily doesn't do boring. So it's really about getting to know the students and engaging in what they like, what things interest them, and then using those topics to focus on grammar, on pronunciation. It's an amazing experience just being able to not only watch someone grow as a student as they learn more and become better, but just grow as a friend or as just someone very dear.
As you can see, she's very cheerful and very easy to talk to, and that's really her natural personality. So you definitely could learn your English language a lot easier than you expected it to be. So today our topic is all about slang words. Most of the times the users here are teens and New Yorkers. And
Yes.
Today we're going to give you the opportunity to learn more about slang words and get a hang of it. And Teacher Emily, as the expert, will teach you how to do it, when to use it, and how to say it. But before that, since we're going to talk about slangs, we would like to know, Teacher Emily, what is the difference between a slang and colloquialism?
So it's a very, very good question. So a colloquialism is more so about where you're from. Different words can develop different names once they cross borders. A very common colloquialism is soccer, or as it's known with our European countries, football. It's the same thing, the same sport, but for whatever reason, Americans call it soccer. But that's an example of a colloquialism, whereas slang is another form of informal language, very casual. But slang is more like made up words or things, words that we kind of create to make new meanings. For instance, a really, really old one that you'll see in old American movies is radical. Radical was a very popular slang term, and it just meant cool. But if you look at the actual definition of radical, it means crazy. It means out of control. So we have a bunch of teenagers going, crazy, out of control. No, it's radical. You kind of give it its own identity.
One way of letting people know how they actually perceive it. So they don't see radical as something bad, but it's something actually cool. Next is, what is the importance of understanding English slang words? And well, this is somewhat a personal question. It's not part of the questions I prepared, actually. Have you tried using slang words to your parents, and what are their reactions like?
I have occasionally, just because when, especially being an adult, you get so used to talking to your friends that sometimes you go back to talk to your parents and you're just throwing out words. And I'm trying to remember, I can't remember the specific word I used, but oh goodness. So,
But
one
I'm
of
pretty
the
sure you can still remember your mom's or your dad's
yes,
reaction.
but so I said this phrase, just this slang phrase. My parents were like, "What?" And they took it literally, as a figure of speech, and they're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And they're like, "No, no, 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 no." They're like, "What does that mean? What does this mean?" Like for instance, for a while, the English word fleek was popular.
It
Fleek
was on fleek.
means yeah. Fleek means to look good. It looks almost perfect, on point. It's on fleek. And so like, oh wow, mom, your dress is on fleek, and it's like, what's wrong with
Good thing that's the only reaction you got from her.
it? Yes, yes.
It could have been worse. It could have been a slap on their face.
Yeah. And which another reason why it's so important to know what slangs you're using and the meanings of them, because you don't want to accidentally say something that offends somebody or gets you in trouble.
Yes, it could get you into trouble. That's the thing. But if you know how to speak the language and when to use it, that would really build you a unique connection. As what Nelson Mandela said, if you speak your own language, it goes to their brain. But if you speak their language, like slang words, it goes to their heart. That's actually the reason why it's important to know about slang words. That leads me to the next question, actually. So, do you believe that parents must also somehow learn how to speak slang as a form of building a connection with their teens? Is it too late, or how long would it take you to learn slang words like a pro?
So, slang words are tricky because as a parent, you definitely want to be aware of what your child is saying, or at least what they're trying to talk about, or the messages they're trying to convey. Every generation has its own set of slang words. We look at the past generation, we got radical, tubular, gnarly. We had YOLO, we had, different things. Cat faces and rar. We would say different slang. We had our own slang. But now I look forward, I look at the upcoming generation, the young generation that's coming forward, and it's a whole nother set of slang words that I don't understand. And so I have to learn, wait, what does this mean? And here I am, 23 years old, Googling, okay, Google, what does this mean?
And you'll see a lot of them on social media.
Yes, yeah, and that was my generation's thing. We were the emoji generation. All we spoke with was emojis and emoticons and text language. And now it's not really, no one does that anymore. But it's almost like a fashion trend,
Mhm.
all these words, they're constantly coming and going out of style. People are creating meanings and new ways to express themselves. So if you try to focus too much on keeping up, staying in touch, you'll be exhausted because there's always going to be a new cycle. Always.
That's totally true. So, how long do you think would it take for a person to learn about slang words?
So I think, someone could learn it pretty fast. It doesn't take long to understand and get like, oh, okay, this word means that, this word means that. But it's just like using it, finding an opportunity to use it correctly is like, uh,
Right. And I believe that the easiest way to learn slang words is to associate it to the actual words being used. So for
mhm.
example, fire. And if that person is eating, would you think that the house is really on fire? No. So you focus on what that person is doing. So, oh, it's on fire. It means it's hot because fire is associated with the word hot. So
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
description. And there will be a lot of slang words that you can learn from our teacher, Emily, here. You can never go wrong with an American citizen here as your teacher because she knows everything from A to Z when it comes to the language. And for our next question, what are the top three slang words that you usually use?
So my favorite one is legit. I always speak like if I'm hungry, I'm legit starving, or I legit only got 2 hours of sleep last night. I want people to understand, seriously, for real,
Right.
legit. Um, another one that I like to another one that I like to use is queen. Queen is one of my favorites, especially when I'm talking to my friends. A queen is someone royal. When we use the slang, we're talking about someone who's awesome, like the best. Like, she is just the most amazing woman in the world right now. And you wanna make her feel good. You wanna let her know how awesome she is. So you hype her up. You go, yes, queen, and it makes you feel good, right? It makes you
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on a dress and go dancing.
Yes, of course. Right.
See. Gosh, and I'm trying to pick out my third favorite.
I know there's too many of them.
I know there's so many of them. I'm trying to think of all the ones I use all the time. There's like, oh wait, this one, that one, and this one.
How about when you're angry? What slang word do you usually use?
Actually, okay, so I figured it out.
Okay.
My top favorite slang word right now is Karen.
Yes.
Yes.
I know her.
Yes, everyone knows Karen.
Tell us more about Karen. Go ahead.
Currently is it's originally a name, a very common name in the United States or just in English speaking countries. But Karen is used to describe a person, typically a woman most of the time, who is very irrational, who goes to great lengths and great efforts to get what they want, and just very selfish.
True.
Karen is the person who's yelling at the cashier. She's holding up the line. She's demanding a refund. You messed up on her food. That's Karen. And so it's such a simple just way to just imply that someone is the worst.
Okay.
Just, oh wow, she's such a Karen.
It's like a secret code for us.
Yeah, here comes Karen.
And her favorite phrase would be, "Let me talk to your manager."
Yes, of course. This Karen has a very distinct phrase and culture. She's got her own haircut. She's got the sunglasses on. Karen, you don't want to mess with Karen. You don't want a Karen at your job.
Exactly. Most of the time, they actually demand special treatment.
Yes, and which is even more infuriating.
Yes, that's right.
Like, what makes you so special, Karen? You're a Karen.
So those are the distinct personality if you're being called as Karen.
It's okay if your name is Karen. That's not your fault. But if you are an actual Karen, not good.
Well, she became so famous, especially during this pandemic, with regards to wearing a mask, right?
So many Karens came out, and they couldn't get haircuts. They couldn't go out to eat. All these pleasantries, these nice things that they no longer had access to. They got angry about it, and they need it now.
It can be cringy, but at the same time, you can just laugh about it.
That's another slang word I love. Cringy. Cringy is not a real word. It's a slang word derived from the word to cringe, to So cringy, when something just it's kind of gross in a way that it's embarrassing to watch, and it's just like you want to look away. You really just want to look away. It makes you cringe.
Couldn't even hardly take it.
It can just be something like painful. Some people, when they watch scary movies, if someone gets hurt on the screen, they cringe. It's like, ooh, I imagine it, I feel it. Or certain sounds, like nails on a chalkboard or the tools at the dentist. It's like, it makes me cringe.
Right. You have learned a lot of things about slang words, guys, just for this 30-minute conversation. So better get used to it so that you'll be able to connect and somehow raise some self-awareness, because you'll never know you're actually one of the Karens, right?
Yeah, it's
people are telling you, "Hi, Karen," but your name is not Karen, so they're actually Tell me
Right,
something
right.
then.
Even my mother, she kind of pulls me to the side and she goes, Emily, what's a Karen? I'm like, don't worry. It's like it's someone bad, and I explain it to her, and she goes, oh, okay. So just make sure I'm not a Karen, because that's a bad thing, right?
Exactly. That's the point. So that's one of the reasons why you have to at least adapt to different types of words that you use, especially in the US.
Mhm.
And to think about it, each states in the US have their own slang words.
Yes, and that's actually where colloquialisms come in because different regions in the United States, they all develop their own special style of speaking English. This is what we refer to as accents, or, on paper, colloquialisms. For instance, up north in the cities, like to talk very fast. They like to smoosh all their words together. So, it's like here, like, let me buy you a drink sometime and we can go, do this, and you're like, what? Whereas you go down to the South, they like to talk real slow. How you doing today, ma'am? It's like, oh, it's a cowboy, you recognize it. But for instance,
Even if they're already angry.
right. Um, it's very funny because where I live, they have the Baltimore accent, which it's very, very like loose mouth and just like very, very open, very, just loose and like very relaxed. And so there was a challenge. You're supposed to say, Aaron earned an iron earn. But with the Baltimore accent, it sounds like earn. A lot of times colloquialisms are just faster ways of talking. For instance, let me help you. The phrase let me help you. Well, if we're talking fast, if we're hurrying up, I don't have time for let me. I'm going to say let me. Let me help you. Let me help you.
Yes, they tend to glide and shorten the words in the
Mm-hmm.
statement. And so, for our last question, if you were to define yourself using a slang word, what would it be and why? It's like a Miss Universe type of question.
I know,
Did you
and I was
notice
like, world peace. Let's see. If I could use a slang word to describe me, it would definitely be. Oh goodness. I think definitely vibey, vibing. A vibe. Definitely a
it?
vibe would describe me because I I'm like a mirror. I like to take what people give me and reflect it back. And in
Hmm.
that way, I also like to be positive, produce positive vibes so that way I can output and produce, pass out the positive vibes. And so I really just enjoy vibing with people, getting to understand them so we can harmonize, we can synchronize on that same
Hmm.
wavelength.
Wow, that was beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, my way of speaking in English is sometimes a little funny because I speak in a lot of figurative language, a lot of metaphors, like, oh, I danced yesterday. No, I was like fire yesterday.
But
Very,
you
very
know what? I,
creative.
I see you differently now. I mean, teacher Emily is a good friend of mine, and we've been talking for quite some time. But just this very minute, I know her better. And even if you see her very vibey and cheerful, I also noticed that she has an old soul, just
Every
the way how she explains herself. So you
everyone
wouldn't.
says that.
Oh, so I'm not the first person that told you that.
Yeah,
See,
I'm
I'm not
secretly a
lying.
vampire. It's because of my parents. My parents took a lot of their generation and they brought it to me as I was growing up. So I got a little bit of both the old and the new. So a lot of my roots and my core values stem from oldness.
Hmm. Well, that's cool. At least you have a sense of balance. Not too modern, not too old.
Try
Just,
not to.
yeah,
Moderation is
in the middle. I totally agree. All right. So, since we're done with the 5 questions that we prepared for you, we're going to move on with the slang words. So, as you see here, we're going to play the random picker, and we'll let teacher Emily explain to us guys what that specific word being picked on the screen means. And you will see how great she is.
I will try.
I'm betting that she'll get a 10 out of 10. How about you guys? You may comment down below. Okay, so are you ready? All right. Just tell me to stop.
Stop.
All right.
Yes,
Queen.
queen. Queen, yes. Okay, so a queen, it is somebody who is just a really awesome female, whether it's your mom or your best friend or your sister or your teacher or your boss. If they're really awesome and just the best of the best, queen. She is queen. Yes, queen.
There you go. All right, so let's go to our next word or slang.
All right. And tap. Ah, yes, I forgot about this one. This is also one of my favorites. So, tea, not the drink, but I want to know the information you know. Have you heard any secrets? Have you heard any gossip? Spill the tea. Tell me your information. What's the tea? What have you heard? What's going on?
Right, because as you notice, guys, the tea is inside the cup. So if you're going to spill it, then you will see what's inside of it. You'll know the secret.
Be careful. If you spill too much tea, you'll make a mess.
That's right.
And
Let's do it again.
No sweat. So this one is great for when there's an accident or just something happens, and when you don't want anyone to worry, no sweat. It's no trouble. For instance, it was raining earlier, and we had to start a little bit later because of the rain, but it wasn't anybody's fault. It didn't inconvenience me. It was no trouble at all. No sweat. I didn't break a sweat. I didn't work out at all. No sweat.
Right. Or sometimes they would say, don't stress about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't stress. Don't sweat over it. No sweat.
Cool. Okay, so let's go to the next slang word. Zoned out.
So this one happens to teacher Emily quite a lot. Sometimes.
So here's the revelation, guys. Only here at Go Talk To.
Sometimes when you're just thinking and you're thinking and you're thinking, and then you just kind of go somewhere. Your mind leaves your body. You're just lost in your own world. You're zoned out. They're like, hey, Melody, hey, are you here? You zone out. You're just, what? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something? And when you zone out, sometimes you lose track of time. You don't know what's going on. You missed it. Like, whoops, I'm sorry. I went somewhere.
Right. Your thoughts went blank. Or your mind went blank.
It's very commonly associated with daydreaming, just kind of letting your imagination run wild while you're awake, and maybe class is going on, or you're supposed to be at work, or, you're just, I wonder what I'm going to have for lunch today.
Or when you're in love.
Oh, yes. You ever look into someone's eyes and they're just so beautiful. You're just, it's a very nice kind of zoned out. Unless they catch you, they look at you like, oh.
You know what? I was about to call our students to book a class with you, but I think I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to call all the directors out there. Here's Teacher Emily, as you can see.
Oh, goodness. No. Oh.
Anyway, who knows? You could probably, play the role together with Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway. Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Zonked. So zonked is what happens when you work a lot, or maybe you've been up and awake for hours and you feel like a zombie and you're just you're totally zonked. You just really need to get some sleep. I don't have the energy to get up. I'm zonked.
So this is sleepy and this is zonked.
Yeah. No. So we passed sleepy 3 hours ago. We're in zonked territory, I try not to get zonked because it's not a good feeling, because zonked is that, that zombie kind of.
Right.
You can't even make it to bed. You just want to collapse on the floor and just crawl.
That's dangerous too.
Yes, so being zonked, not good.
Yes, that's right. Okay, let's go to the next word.
Yeet. So this is a slang word for throwing something, but it can also be used as an onomatopoeia, which is just a word that makes a sound, like the word pop. How pop describes a noise or a sound, this is what yeet does. And yeet describes that noise when you throw something. We're not just throwing it or tossing it. You gotta yeet. And how this one became popular, because it's just a made-up word, is kids would take, like their old school papers or just paper, crumple it up into a ball and throw it in the trash can like a basketball player and just yeet.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so next word.
There you go.
For real.
For real? For real? So this can just be used when you're asking somebody seriously, or it can also be used as a statement as, I'm being serious. Like, for real? It rained all day yesterday. Or, when someone's talking to you and, oh, I saw a car accident. You're like, for real? Like, are you serious?
Right. And if you notice, guys, it should be said that for real, you want to let that person know that you could hardly believe it.
Mm-hmm. It's a question, like, are you serious? Like, is this really happening? I can't believe it. Like, for real? Like, question? For real?
Okay. Next.
Chillin.
Chillin.
Oh,
This
yes.
is one of my favorites too.
Yes, how could I forget about chillin'? So, chillin' just describes hanging out, or it could just mean you're relaxing, you're keeping calm. Think like an ice cube or a cold drink, something that's chilling. It's not frozen, but it's not warm. It's nice and chill. It's very cool. So sometimes you can chill at home watching movies, or you go to the mall and chill with friends. You're chilling.
Yes. Basic.
Basic, another good one. So basic is another way to describe something that's boring or pretty common, pretty average. For instance, the color pink. The color pink is commonly thought to be a girl's color, right?
Mm-hmm.
So someone might say, "Oh, if pink is your favorite color, you have basic taste. That's so common. That's so uninteresting. You're the same as everyone." Usually this is an insult because no one wants to be plain, boring, like a cookie, cookie cutter, all the same. So, like, "Oh wow, her shoes are so basic," or, her style is so basic. So basic is often used to describe a person who's just very predictable. You already know what their favorite thing is, what their favorite movie is, just they're basic. I always try not to be basic. I try to be the opposite of basic. Let's see. Names that I have.
I think the last word we haven't talked about is legit.
Legit, yes. Of course, one of my favorites. I use it all the time. Legit, it is actually a shortened version of the word legitimately, which means official. When we talk about legitimate documents, official paperwork that you would have for your house or your marriage or things like that. So legit means, like this is official. Like we're not kidding, we're not joking. This is legit. This, and it can be described like my necklace. Like, "Oh, you see this gemstone? It's legit. This is the real thing. It's the real deal." Or when I'm talking, it's like, "I legit cannot sleep." It's like it's funny because when you use the slang legit, you are almost always using the actual word wrong. Because legitimately means very literally, whereas majority of the time when we use it, it's figuratively. Like, "I'm legit starving." Well, if that were the case, I would be dead. So
Right.
it's always used wrong when we use the slang. Like legit, it's an exaggeration.
That's also the reason why it is important to talk to someone professional like teacher Emily, who knows the meaning behind it and when it is appropriate to use it. It's okay to use slang words, especially if you're with your close friends or family, because that's the best time to be natural. I mean, it's good to be always natural, but sometimes you have to think where you're at, who are you with.
Yes, and
That's it.
with English, it's such a great language for situations like that because it's so versatile. There's many uses to it, and it all, like you said, it all depends on where you're at, who you're talking to. Are you going to use your romantic words? Are you going to use your strict, emotionless words? Or are you going to use your fun slang words? It all depends on where you are, but all the words, they're always connected.
That's true. That's true. You can do self-study, but you wouldn't know when these words are appropriately used. That's something that you could hardly find in a textbook. So it's always best to talk to someone who's native and who's professional enough to give you feedback and give you the real background of a certain word. And definitely teacher Emily can help you with regards to how you're going to use these words, not just about slang words, but also all parts of grammars. Wow, that was a full pack of information. Thank you, teacher Emily. Before we call it a day, would you like to plug your event?
Yes, actually. With school starting back up, we like to do fun things for the kids to kind of take a break, do something fun that's not so boring. So this Thursday, as well as every Thursday, I host the Go Talk to Kids Cooking Club, where we learn tips and tricks on kitchen safety, sanitation, and keeping clean, as well as fun recipes that the whole family can enjoy.
You can also book a ticket or a class with her by visiting www.gotalkto.com. And not only that, we're also giving away a $10 credit that you can use when you book a class. with your teacher of choice, for example, teacher Emily, and the language that you'd like to learn. So as you heard, she specializes in English, so you can never go wrong when you book a class with her. She's originally from Maryland, and she's so cool, and definitely your class won't be boring. That's out of her vocabulary. All right. Well, thank you, Teacher Emily, for accepting our invitation today, and we had fun.
I hope to see you guys in my class in the future. Thank you so much for coming to today's podcast.
And once again, this is Teacher Melody together with Teacher Emily. Thank you for joining with us, guys. And to learn more, we are here at Facebook, YouTube. We're also in the TikTok world. And please book a class with us. Any of our teachers are great, and you can learn a lot of different languages by visiting www.gotalkto.com. Have a beautiful day.